Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining another Stryd live stream. Today we have a presentation. It's probably going to last around 20 to 30 minutes. We have a new feature to show you and some footpath analysis strategies. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's see the new feature. So we are thrilled to announce an exciting update to the Stryd Footpath feature, and that is the ability to now view your footpath in 3D. And this is set to revolutionize your running analysis with the introduction of this 3D visualization. This innovative enhancement marks a new era in visualizing your running performance and also visualizing your injury recovery, fatigue analysis, and much more. And let's get a preview of what this feature looks like here. So since the launch of Stryd Duo, Stryd Footpath has offered the unparalleled insight into your running mechanics by providing that detailed footpath visualization. And this has only been available from the 2D perspectives of the side, back, and top views. And now we're taking this step further. The new 3D Stryd Footpath feature now allows you to explore that footpath in a fully interactive three-dimensional space. This means you can now view your footpath from any angle you desire, offering an unprecedented level of detail and perspective on your running mechanics. So we're going to be doing a quick demo on how this new 3D tool works, doing a live demo in Power Center, and then moving on to some of those footpath analysis strategies. One other really cool feature, a part of this release, is lap selection for the Stryd Footpath. So with the lap selection, you can select and compare sections of your activity by lap to analyze your footpath with convenience and precision. So just imagine you're doing an interval workout, you're lapping your watch. Now you can compare those working and rest sections, or even compare mile by mile or kilometer by splits with ease to see how your Stryd Footpath adapts and changes over the course of your workout. So this is going to really help, enhance the quality, enhance the ease of use of this tool, and we're really excited about that as well. So if you're new to the Stryd Footpath, let me give you a bit of background. This is enabled by Stryd Duo. Stryd Duo is a dual-sided motion capture system composed of two next-gen Stryd power meters. This was released towards the end of 2023, just last year. It's really brand new, and that's what enables the Stryd Footpath visualization, tracking that footpath in 3D space, allowing you to visualize any point in time of your run. Of course, in those 2D perspectives of top, back, and side views, and now the 3D perspective that we're introducing today. So let's jump into it. Let's take a look at what this what the 3D footpath really looks like here. So when you load up the footpath visualization tool, you're presented by that default 2D perspective here. And now we can see here in this new sidebar, we can just toggle on 3D. And this now takes us to a 3D perspective here. And immediately what you can do as soon as this perspective loads, you can control the views. So you can click and drag across here and effortlessly rotate, zoom in, and pan across this 3D space to explore your footpath from entirely new angles and perspectives. So it's so incredibly easy just through clicking and dragging and zooming in and zooming out to view that 3D footpath in detail. And I just recognized that. Yep. Okay. And the other thing we can do in the 3D space is compare activities. So we can compare activities in the 3D view. So just by loading in an activity similar to the 2D perspective, we can compare the activities. This solid line is, of course, this 5K race I completed. That's this top timeline. And then the dashed line, that is the 12K race. So we can now view, my footpath from two different race performances in that 3D perspective. And on top of that, if you ever want to orientate yourself, you can always turn on the reference image here and then go to the view. And the view works in both the 2D and 3D perspectives. So we can jump to the back view here and view it from a back perspective and then rotate within this view. And we can also jump to the familiar top view and side view. So at any point in time, if you want to orientate yourself, gain some perspective on what you're looking at, you can always just tap into that view option and then also check out the reference image. And finally, one other really cool feature we have enabled in the 3D view is the mirror left and right. So with the mirror left and right, this is an overlay and it allows you to compare the footpaths of your left and right feet in the 3D space, providing that symmetrical view to analyze and balance your gait. So these features are available now. So if you load up the Stryd Power Center and you go to the Footpath Visualization tabs on the left-hand side, you'll be presented with this updated footpath view, and then you can just toggle on the 3D footpath here. So with these high resolution footpath visualizations, the possibilities are endless to learn more about your run. And some of the groundbreaking use cases we've broken into 5 categories here to analyze your footpath. Number one, injury. Track your recovery process through quantifying subtle changes in your footpath as you recover from injury. Fatigue, monitor how and when you fatigue in and across your run so you can tailor your training. Drills, quantify and visualize the impact of your drills on your footpath to determine if they are providing the intended benefits. Footwear, observe how different shoe choices reshape your footpath and contribute towards and impact your running. And performance, visualize your footpath to determine the personalized indicators of how your footpath changes as your performance transforms. So a lot of the questions we've been getting from the users of Stryd Footpath and Stryd Duo is, what does this process look like? How do I really take advantage of these groundbreaking use cases? So I'm going to present an analysis strategy today, giving you a simple, structured 3-step process. This one's sure focused and consistent analysis of your Stryd Footpath, leading to more reliable and actionable insights. And the approach I'm going to present, this allows runners to effortlessly and effectively tailor their training to their specific needs. And ultimately, the goal of that is, enhancing performance and maintaining that healthy running routine. So I'm going to be jumping through the 3-step process of making accurate comparisons, understanding how your Stryd Footpath responds to different variables, and then finally personalizing your training and reanalyzing your footpath data. So let's jump into step 1 here. So the first part of Stryd Footpath is making an apples to apples comparison. So, a lot of the questions we get, someone has taken a screenshot of their footpath. It's really interesting. They want to say, what can I learn from this single footpath? And typically the answer is, to get the best learning out of your Stryd Footpath, you want to be making comparisons. And to make the best comparisons, you want to make apples to apples comparisons. So point 1 here is select runs with comparable conditions. So for example, if I want to learn something about my run, I want to select, for example, a similar workout, or a workout done at a consistent speed or in similar surface conditions, because all of these variables such as incline, speed, shoe change, surface change, this will impact your Stryd Footpath. And if there's too many variables that have changed, then it's going to be difficult to pull out that insight. So that leads to the next point of control one variable at a time. So for example, if you have done a workout with a consistent power output, both of uphill and downhill, you can compare the uphill and downhill sections against each other to see how Stryd Footpath changed as a result of running on different inclines. So the variable I would be changing there is incline. So, another example is, let's say speed. Let's say that you're running on flat ground and you're, such as a track, and you're changing your speed. So the variable in that case would be, I've been changing my speed. I want to see how my footpath rechanges as a result of speed. So you can apply this across many different variables: incline, speed, shoes, surface condition. And when you try and change just one variable at a time, then it becomes really easy to gain insights from the Stryd Footpath. And then finally, another strategy to make apples to apples comparisons is to have a benchmark run. So for example, if you're doing regular critical power testing once a month or once every 2 months, you can use that footpath from that run as kind of your benchmark. And the next time you complete that run, you can then make the comparison against that benchmark run. So point number 2, understanding how your Stryd Footpath responds. So now we've made that apples to apples comparison. We're comparing one run against another, and now we want to see how that Stryd Footpath has changed as a result of changing that one variable. So the first point is analyze the footpath changes, and we can do that easily with the tools I just showed you, where you pull up one run or you compare within a run, and then you can just overlay the footpath from one run against another to start identifying those key indicators. So you want to focus on specific aspects of your footpath that show the most variations, such as difference between the left and right foot, back kick height, side to side differences if you're looking from the back view. And then you want to start thinking about how you performed and how you felt. So on that right sidebar of the visualization, we're going to be pulling up that Stryd Footpath visualization tool again to do a demo here. But you want to be looking at correlations between changes in your footpath and your performance metrics. So, and also remembering and noting down your personal feelings. So, for example, let's say you're feeling really tired as you got deeper into a repetition. That might not show in the metrics, but you do see that reflected in your Stryd footpath, and that was a subjective feeling you felt at that moment in time. So that's something worth noting and analyzing to understand why your Stryd footpath changed. And then finally here, once we have observed how our Stryd footpath changes, then we can personalize our training and then go back to step one, do another apples to apples comparison and reanalyze with the Stryd footpath data. So for example, modifying your training. As I talked about in a past webinar, in the 5K and 12K webinar and the half marathon analysis webinar, I've identified that I have difficulty running uphill and maintaining my power and also my speed when running uphill. So I could say reflect in the Stryd footpath, and I know that I need to incorporate more uphill training into my training plan. So, for example, that's one way you could modify your training if you observe those differences is, for example, incorporating more speed work or incorporating more uphill running. Second is incorporating drills. So if you notice something in your footpath and you believe it can be corrected by drills, incorporating drills into your running and then seeing how those drills impact your footpath the next time you go out and run. And then finally, reanalyzing. So, after you've incorporated those drills or modified your training, continually reassessing your footpath using this method to continue to move in the positive direction. So let's see what this three-step process looks like in practice here. So I'm going to pull up some activities here and showcase some insights we can gather. So the activity I'm going to be analyzing is I ran a half marathon time trial over the weekend, and I'm going to compare it against a half marathon that I ran back in October. So here is the data now. So I pulled up in the 3D view here. The solid line is my most recent half marathon, and the dashed line is my half marathon from October. So here I'm trying to only change one variable. Of course, in practice, that's not always possible because, for example, the speed might be slightly different, and your shoes, you might have changed shoes since your last race. So um, it's always important to minimize those variables, but sometimes it might not always be possible. So in this case here, the half marathon recently, we can see that in the solid line, and the half marathon from a few months ago is in the dash line. One of the things I can immediately recognize, I was running a bit slower for this recent effort, and we can see that here in the right sidebar here in the performance metrics. The power and pace was lower, where the power was 352 watts and the pace was 7 minutes and 51 minute per mile, where the half marathon from a few months ago was done at a higher power and a faster pace. The reason for this is that it was below zero over the weekend. It was -5 degrees Fahrenheit, and the trail was covered in packed snow. So it was not, I couldn't quite push the same way I did a few months ago when the trail was clear and it was in more favorable conditions. So we do see that I was running slower, but We can also observe that my cadence was faster and my impact loading rate was lower as well. So we can see that my cadence increased to 150 steps per minute, which was up from 147. And then the impact loading rate was also lower from 54 down to 50 for this most recent half marathon effort. And one of the immediate things I can recognize here from looking at the footpath is that I was more symmetrical. We can see in these solid lines, the left and right footpaths, the back kick hike is pretty similar. And the back kick pattern was also more consistent compared to my half marathon effort from a few months ago. So this indicates a few things. This indicates that I have become more symmetrical, and I believe that's due to higher basically running more, putting more miles in, improving performance, strengthening both sides of the body. This was also done on a similar. This was basically done on the same route as before. And I have been working my uphill running capability, where that's one thing I struggled with, which definitely caused some asymmetry as I was running uphill. I was working on my uphill running capability, and we do see that my form became more symmetrical. As I prepare for a marathon, it's also important to me that I lower my impact loading rates so that I don't build up too much muscle fatigue from over the course of running these longer efforts. So we can see that I did get some positive adaptations just by making these comparisons, and that, after analyzing my training from last time and implementing some of the techniques that I had set for myself, such as the uphill running, I did get those positive adaptations from my Stryd Footpath here. So just going back to this slide of, you know, making an accurate comparison, understanding how I responded, and personalize your training. That's the three-step process I put into place here. So I wanted to look at one other effort here. And that was from a treadmill workout I did. So we can see here, I was doing a treadmill workout, and I was running at a pretty consistent in, intensity in terms of both power and speed across 3 repetitions. And I want to see how this looks in terms of the footpath. So I did 3 repetitions at around 3 minutes in duration. And I've selected my first 2 intervals here, and we can see from that first interval, which is in the solid line, to the second interval, we can start to see that there was decoupling in terms of the asymmetry, and the back kick height started to lower. So we can see here that I wasn't back kicking as high during the second interval, and that also the right side started to diverge from the left side, where the left side back kick height was pretty consistent, but it started to drop off on the right side. And by the third repetition, there were pretty major changes in my footpath. Even though I was running at the same speed and intensity, we can see that even running at the same speed and intensity can lead to major changes in the footpath just as a result of fatigue. So I did feel fatigue going into this run, and you know, based on the comparison I'm making, I do see that there was also changes in my footpath, and that I responded by my cadence increased as I started to fatigue. And subjectively, this also led me to feel more tired as well, because you can see from the half marathon races, I typically run around the cadence of around 150 at the highest, and here I was running around 156. So just from looking at the data and looking at the footpath, we can see that I wasn't back kicking as high. My cadence was increasing, which further led to my fatigue. And from this, in terms of implementing, making changes to my training, I definitely want to incorporate more interval workouts and getting comfortable running at a higher cadence, and see if I can, complete more intervals and also lead to a more consistent footpath across intervals. So I hope that gave some insight on how this can be viewed in practice, just by comparing it in a run or comparing similar half marathon efforts and looking for those changes across your footpath. So if you want to embark on your journey today of collecting Stride footpath data, um, it's all this data can be incredibly useful for achieving any of those five purposes across from injury, fatigue, footwear choice, selecting drills and performance. And it's critical to build your repository of data across these runs, because the more data you have, the more data you can analyze and the more insights you can gain from your data. So Stride Duo is available today. You can get that at stride.com/store. Um, the sooner you can start collecting data, especially in kind of these race performances, these high intensity workouts, the better. And now I'm here to take some of your questions. So if anyone has any questions on anything I talked about, analyzing your footpath data, drop those in the chat and I will answer those. So we did have a few questions come through already. And the first question is from Hans saying, when is this available in Power Center? And I just hit on that point again, the Stryd Footpath 3D visualization. That's available now. That's available for all of your past activities that you record with Stryd Footpath and any new activities you record with the Stryd Footpath. So you can just load up the Stryd Power Center and tap on that 3D toggle to visualize your 3D visualization. And a second question from Hans is, would it be possible to suggest insights based on your algorithm making this analysis in the future? So, this boils down to, what kind of suggestions can we make from our side? And we have some really exciting updates coming from, along that front. So definitely stay tuned. In the meantime, implement some of these strategies I just talked about. We're going to be presenting some tools in the near future that will help you gather some of these insights quicker in an automated fashion and pull these up across not just one run or two runs, but across many different runs. So definitely stay tuned for updates there. A question that asks, how to know what drills to do or changes to make when you identify an issue. So one of the great things with the new training plans we introduced last year is that many of the training plans do include drill recommendations. So I recommend incorporating all of those drills, and all those are going to be, enhancing different aspects of your run. Those are, staple drills that have been recommended by, of course, the plan author, which we collaborated with Coach Steve Palladino on those. And you see how those drills impact your performance. So we definitely recommend following the drills inside of the training plans. Also go to the Stryd YouTube channel, check out some of the drills we have posted in terms of the demos we've provided in order to properly execute those drills, and see what kind of drills do lead to the positive adaptations in your Stryd footpath. We have a question that asks, have you tried to compare shoes? What was the result? And the answer to that is yes. I have made personal shoe comparisons. Other members of our team, other members of the Stryd community have done shoe comparisons. And similar to how speed changes, incline changes, surface conditions change your Stryd footpath, shoes also do have an impact on your Stryd footpath. So, and in my experience, it was very intuitive for me to analyze that data, where shoes that promised higher levels of energy recycling that did lead to higher back kicks. Subjectively, of course, that's also a major component of analyzing shoe choice and understanding that if I feel that this shoe, leads me to perform better and that it's reflecting the metrics, then and it's easier for me to run at higher speeds. And it's also probably the case that that shoe is, truly helping me, how it feels like it's helping me. So, I did see, especially running at higher speeds, that racing shoes intended for racing did lead to positive changes in my Stryd footpath. But that's kind of an experiment of one. Of course, everyone's going to respond differently to shoes, so I definitely encourage you to try that out with the shoes you have if you're running a Stryd Duo and Stryd Footpath, to try kind of an experiment of one. Try running at different, especially race intensities with your racing shoes and see if that leads to those positive adaptations. So that's all the questions we have for now. If you have any questions watching this, leave those in the comments of the video and we will follow up on those. We appreciate everyone for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the 3D footpath visualization.